screenshot here
Mm.
from the 12th of February. You can see here from your Instagram DMs, and it says, I would say primarily health anxiety is what I'm struggling with. Being trapped on and off for 8 years, sometimes keeping at bay, other times being completely overwhelmed. I find it debilitating.
I was struggling with health anxiety, but I think it was themes. There was always something to be anxious about. You know, so health would be one of them. It could flip onto something else.
Yeah.
You know, I think at that particular moment in time, health would have been the sort of the primary one. And I think as a guy who's sort of moving towards retirement, whatever like that, I suppose like anybody, health becomes more and more important. It's not something you worry about as much in your 30s. But then again, if I look back in my 30s, I had other stuff to worry about. So there was always something. I would always find something to be anxious and worry about.
Yeah.
And it was that particular sort of, will I ever get away from it? But the thing is, I was running away from myself. I really wasn't confronting, and it's not the word confronting. People use words like battle, and it's not a battle. But I was in that mindset that it was a battle. It was a war of attrition. And I was like, well, who am I fighting with?
Let's say earlier this year, before you reached out, what was the day in the life of Brendan when he was struggling with health anxiety? What were some of the struggles?
Oh, day in the life was one day ruled into another. It was being awake, being present, um, having to function. Um,
How were
you
you
know,
struggling to function?
oh, getting up in the morning, opening my eyes and feeling the weight of the day ahead. Um, knowing that you have to participate, whether that be with work or you have to do things for certain people, and just not wanting it, and not being able to deal with it, and everything becoming overwhelming. And even now, as I think about it, I can feel that there, what it was like,
Mm,
and it's not pleasant, in any way, and it just rolls into weeks and months and years of being like that, you know.
one of your fears was going to the gym, wasn't it? You know,
Yeah,
talking about
yeah.
well-being.
I used to panic. I
Yeah.
I would panic. I would literally have panic attack, and I would never have suffered from panic attacks. Never, never. But it was just the one place that I would definitely have panic attacks and be very anxious. You know, um,
And you
and
were
this
worried,
is what a
what were you
person
worried
who,
about specifically with that?
oh, just not being able to get to the end of the session. Just getting weak, and it happened, but I didn't die. I recovered. I used to get this another thing, which would be sort of like if I stood up quickly, feeling a bit dizzy, and again, I would have put something against that. Now, for a period of time, I used to sort of laugh at it and go, "Oh, there you are. Thanks, thanks, thanks for popping up." And once I gave it nothing, I don't do it. It never happens now. And again, it just proves that it was just anxiety. It was just,
Yeah, yeah,
it's not. An illness doesn't randomly pop up and pop down. It's either there or it's not there. You know.
with the health anxiety. Now that you've mastered the response, do you feel like that's a struggle for you now?
No, 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 no. I sometimes I think about it, sometimes I don't. I don't. I just don't give it any mass. I don't go down that route. I don't. Um, it is what it is. You know. I I I can't change the future. I can't. All I can do is deal with the present.
What would you say is the main difference since finishing the program for you? If you had to put it in one, if you had to attribute one thing, what's
Peace, peace. Simple word.
and it's funny you said that because I remember Brendan, that's what you said you wanted when you reached out. Do you remember?
Yeah,
So, do you want? At the end of the day, it was on our consultation class. I said, what do
yeah,
you want?
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
said, I wanted to be at peace.
Peace. That's all. Yeah, peace. Moments of peace, even. You
And you
know.
have that now.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Well, I had plenty of moments of peace. But it's funny. while talking to you, I could feel, I was delving back and I could feel emotions coming in, coming out, you know,
Yeah.
and I suppose that's just because I'm thinking about those moments that I've had in the past, those negative, and I could feel the emotions sort of moving around a little bit, but not in a bad way,
Mm.
because at the end of the day, you still want to be human. We're human, and we're still going to feel emotions, but it's you know just that's all they are is their emotions, and emotions will settle down.
You're just gonna, whatever you resist persists. Whatever you don't
Yeah.
allow yourself to feel you're gonna get more of it, and you're gonna actually be more stuck. And I think for you, Brendan, it's been again waking up on days where you don't feel good and it doesn't matter, disengaging from that spiral of I can't feel this today because I might feel anxious, and if I feel anxious, da da da, and this is rabbit hole of thinking, right? You no
Mhm.
longer do that, right? And when you do that, you catch yourself doing it. And I think that's what the main difference is. It's not, you've recognized there's no cure to get rid of anxiety, or negative thinking. What there is becoming a person who's equipped to allow discomfort and uncertainty when it's present and not try and get rid of it. Harness it, feel it, get on with your day,
Yeah.
crack on with your day. That's been the biggest difference, right? And that's what's allowed you to have those moments of peace because there's
Mhm.
no resistance to what is anymore.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You know, it's accepting it and, as I said, not fighting it, trying to replace it, trying to get rid of it. And these are words we use all the time: replace, get rid, remove, eliminate. You know,
Yeah.
it's we can't do that. The brain's not, we're not wired that way.
A question: what would you say to people who have been struggling for a long time, like you were, who are on the fence of joining my program? What would you say to those people?
Just do it. What are you waiting for? You know, everybody has a choice. You
Mm.
can either stay where you are, and that's fine. That's if you want to do, or you can take a choice to try something different. And if it works for you, then great. It's another thing. But be prepared for the work. This is about you. You have to make that change, regardless of how. And that's the only thing I can say to people. And from coming from somebody who's had it a long time, you have to make that change. I had to, as hard as it is, but nobody is beyond making that change. And do you know what? All I can say to you is, people say life is bloody short, and while you're in, and anybody, if I could speak to myself in my 20s and 30s, and just had a conversation with them, with me as a 50-year-old guy, it would have changed a lot of things for that person. Um, and hopefully it's the same. But then again, it doesn't matter whether you're 58, 88, or 28. Make the change.
Does this process work?
Yeah, yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, anything that you do to make a change, and there are people who have lived this and been through it and understand it, and you need to gain that knowledge, gain that insight, to learn those processes and techniques which are proven to succeed, and then you have to apply it. And it's bloody hard. It's bloody hard because you're trying to unlearn years of the same response. But if you look at it back at your responses, they never change. They've always been the same. So you're not. Some people might look back and go, "Oh, but I've tried everything." Have you?
Yeah.
Have you tried everything?
Yeah.
Literally, have you tried everything? You know,
I
I
know.
have tried apps. I have tried pieces of equipment, spent loads of money. But that's just treating symptoms. It's not actually addressing anything. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And I mean, I get frustrated when I hear people say, I've tried everything. I thought, well, you're not broken. So you just haven't made the right shift, which for anxiety recovery is simply disengaging from thoughts and not seeing anxiety as the issue, and then just getting on with your life regardless of what you feel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. That's it.
That's
That's
not
it.
that's not a that's
It's
a
easy for me to say it now,
yeah.
you know, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, it is. I think that's the key message that I got from you, and why I wanted to reach out is the simplicity of it. You know, and that just taking that power on board, that strength, that insight that I am more than this. This is not this is not me. This is I'm more than this.
Mm.
You know, we weren't born with anxiety. We learned it, you know?
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's true. We learn to obsess
We
about
learn to respond
yeah.
to a certain way. And, you know, listen, I'm not a psychologist or a psychoanalyst, but you know, we're all dealt with cards,
Yeah.
which, you know, some better than others. But then you get people who have every opportunity in the world and they're still anxious. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Thankfully, it's something that crosses sex, boundary, age, race, religion. It doesn't matter. You know, all we can do is us as individuals do what we can. And if that means, you know, speaking to Magnus, do you know what? Go and do it. What have you got to lose?
Yeah. Well, people are
You
afraid
know,
of money, right? That's what they're afraid of. That's why they
money,
do it.
money. At the end of the day, you've got to put it. Can you put a value on your own health, on your own mental health?
No, I don't think
You know,
so.
people. I've done this. I've gone off on holidays, spent thousands of euro trying to feel better, and and I'll use a bit of swear words here. I can feel shit in Ireland, and I can feel shit in Spain, or I can feel shit in America. But I'll generally always feel shit no matter where I am. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, true. You've got to fix your relationship with anxiety, fix,
Yeah.
how you feel
Because
that way. Not transport yourself to another country expecting to feel different.
yeah, exactly.